Welcome to the live. So I'm so glad that you guys are here today. So I want to share something at the end of this live. I want to talk to you about something that I'm just going to save this note till the end of the live. And I want you guys to tell me if you agree or if you disagree. So let's talk about a few things. I know that a lot of you are starting out with new things in your life. There are a lot of new things that you're trying. There are a lot of new ways in which you're trying to get your life going, your experiences going, what you perceive as your success going. And, it can be very challenging. So I want to deal with, and I want to talk about three things. I want to first talk about three things that impact just really getting started in terms of your journey towards what you believe is your success. So three things. Okay, so one of them, something that we've talked about before, which is being concerned with what other people think. This is something that so many people struggle with. And in this age now where it's so easy to compare yourself to what other people are doing. And thank you for those hearts, you guys. Thank you for liking the live. You are absolutely wonderful. So in this age where it's so easy to compare yourself to others, because you can think back before what we perceive as the current technology, people were still living their own lives. They were still having their own successes. They still had their own mansions. They still had their own, if not cars yet, their own vehicles, their own esteemed ways, what was perceived as esteemed transportation at the time, if it was your horse and buggy, if it was people being carried around by servants, whatever it was. And those are each, separate conversations. But now you can literally see the extravagance that other people have. You can literally see the quote unquote perception of the quote unquote success that people have. And I would say it's a perception. And so you always have this yardstick that you can look and say, am I doing well? Would other people think that I'm doing well? Rather than going inside for your own belief of what it means to succeed to you. So the first thing in walking towards your success would be looking, are you overly concerned with what other people think? Is that preventing you or contributing to preventing you from even getting started? Because you think, are people going to think this is silly? Are people going to laugh at me? People who knew me maybe in a field that's not considered creative. What are they going to say about it? These are, again, all perceptions, outside perceptions. And it's amazing how other people's thoughts, which sometimes are not even real, sometimes people are going on and dealing with their own lives, and they're not even thinking about what you're doing, or they really are focused on what you're doing, because this is something that I've seen. There are a lot of videos that say, nobody's paying attention to you. Nobody's thinking about you. But there are times when people do. And that's something, the point is whether they are or not, to get to that comfort level where that's not the focus. So that's number one. Number two, what is the focus then? Because are you serving other people? Are you doing this? Do you want to start out on this goal, this journey, this endeavor with something self-serving in mind? Is this just for self-aggrandizement? Is this just to feel that you are wonderful? Is this just to think about your own pleasure? Or are you considering how you might be able to serve somebody else? How you might be able to serve others? What you might be able to do for other people? Once you start really tapping into how you can be of use to other people, it is something that changes everything that you're working on. It is something that changes your whole outlook. Once you start to get that feedback from others that you are making a difference. We hear that term all the time. Are you making a difference? But once you start to really see that you're impacting others in a positive way, that you're helping someone to think, maybe they didn't want to go on with what they were doing in their lives. Maybe they didn't want to keep pursuing something, and you help them to remember the beauty and the power and the potential impact that they could have. And they sort of disconnected themselves from silly, superficial perceptions and really returned to why they wanted to do what they wanted to do. So that's number 2, the why. Are you thinking about how you can serve others, no matter how dismissed you might feel by others, no matter how silly you might think others see your thing? Are you really considering how you can be of use to others? That's number 2. Number 3, have you really examined how your hurts and your disappointments and your history has impacted you? Is that a part of why you're afraid to get started? Is that a part of why you want to do what you're doing in the first place? Are there things in your history that you have not delved into that are in part why you want to do what you want to do in the first place? Or part of why you're being held back? Let me tell you a story. I know of this person who very much, and we can get into who this person was at another date, but very much in a 9-to-5 situation, and came across somebody who, in the beginning of their working together with this coworker, this person shared a lot of things about themselves, and shared very freely that they dealt with certain abuses in their life. And as they began working together, certain things transpired, and they were not as friendly in that 9-to-5 situation. But what happened was, instead of that person who met this coworker, who shared, and I want to say thank you to Alex. I see you put yes in the chat. Thank you for sharing your words, your thoughts, your feedback. Thank you to America Chavez, he says, America Chavez says, I need to carry your words on into my lifestyle. Wow, that is so generous of you to include. Per says, been a fan of you. Thank you guys so much for your words, for your input. You guys are just amazing. Thank you so much. And yes, please continue with those hearts, with those likes, continue with your support. You're amazing. So back to this person, this coworker. So this coworker is working with this person, as I said. In the beginning, very friendly. This coworker shared that they dealt with abuse in their life. And as they continued working together, it wasn't as much of a friendly situation. But this coworker always remembered that this person had shared that they had dealt with pretty serious abuse when they were growing up. And so even though this coworker became increasingly insulting and increasingly unkind and said things that were inappropriate, this coworker remembered the fact that this person said they had been abused. They had dealt with some very serious abuse growing up, and the person almost took it as a confidence because it was something they could have used, but they refused to. And it was always something that impacted how they responded to that coworker. Because they also thought, now why would this coworker share so freely at the beginning of a co-working relationship that they had been abused? That's something so sacred and something so private. But maybe as tough as this coworker began to come across or would come across to people, maybe it was a vulnerability that the coworker shared almost as a guidance, almost as a way to say, remember this. No matter how things go down, this is what I've dealt with. So you too, and I tie this back into you starting your journey, you too should be mindful of what other people are going through and mindful for yourself. Do you have an abuse? Do you have a pain? Do you have something in your life that you went through, which is one of the reasons for spearheading this journey in the first place? Or is it something that's holding you back from even beginning? The fact that you had this hurt in your life. And the same way that this coworker refused to betray that confidence that this coworker, who actually became very disrespectful, very unkind, very inappropriate, but this person refused to betray that confidence because they knew this is what was underneath what this person was betraying, what this person was portraying, what this person was exhibiting or displaying on the job. It had a lot to do with what this person had gone through in their lives. So look at your own life. In what ways are your hurts a very big part of why you want to get started, why you won't get started, what's inhibiting you in your journey? And let me add to that. If you want to be successful, and you are, now this is separate from what I described to you from the coworker. Let's move on to another topic. If you find yourself talking about other people in a hurtful way, this is something that can very much inhibit you in your journey, even if you are unaware of it, even if you don't believe it's something that will impact you. Talking about other people, saying negative things about people, saying things to pull them down, there are a number of reasons why. First of all, if you're someone who believes in the Word, believes in the Bible, you know that it's something that's discouraged in the Bible. So it's not something that's going to advance you for reasons that the Bible will further lay out for you. It's something that's you're told not to do. And I really believe when following those steps in the Bible, what we're told in the Bible, that guidance from the Bible, it can help you to live such a fulfilling life. And it's just guides you, helps you in what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing. Some very basic things, and then can also gets very complex. Another thing with gossip or talking negatively about people or success, if you have that kind of focus on other people, if you have that kind of discouragement for other people, it's going to be very hard for you. On another very practical level, to succeed, because you're not putting your all into something. It's trying, you're thinking about other people. So your focus is on other people. So your focus is on potentially diminishing other people. So your focus is on being unkind to other people. So if you think there are millions of people who want to succeed, what are some of the things that would make you stand out? And instead, you're looking at other people and how you can put them down. How is that energy going to proliferate you when you are set on diminishing other people? Thank you for the thumbs up. You guys are so wonderful. Again, thank you for Alex. Thank you for America Chavez. Thank you for Purr. You guys are so wonderful. And Purr just said, you remind me of myself. You remind me of myself. Wow, that is beautiful. Purr just said, then realize how you want to be treated. And Purr also said, and it just shows their true colors. Absolutely beautiful, Purr. Thank you for those words. Thank you so much. And Purr, you are a leader, speaking up this way. You are just, Alex, you are also a leader. Thank you for saying hi. America Chavez, you are leaders for being able to come into this live, because it's a very unusual live. We're doing it in this mysterious way. We're doing it, where it's, I feel light in terms of a discussion, but it's dark physically. So there's something that we're sharing that's unusual. So that's another thing. So let's move on from that last point of if you're negative and how are you going to succeed because your energies are in the wrong place. Let's move on to that next point of mystery, doing something different. This is another thing. Oh, JK says hi there. Thank you so much, JK. Hi there. JK says love the high notes. Thank you so much, JK. So glad that you're here. So glad that you're sharing this with us. You guys are so wonderful. I'm so glad you're here. So yes, and I might get to some high notes, but there's something I want to share at the end of the live. And I want to see if you guys agree. So put a thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up if you want to hear what I have to say, what I want to explore at the end of the live. I'm going to say something not too long from now. But this thing of mystery, this thing of us doing this in the dark, you may find other people now doing their lives in the dark. You may find other people doing things, because that's a common thing that you'll find, especially in our beautiful culture. There's so much opportunity, but there's so many times when you'll do something, you create something, and you'll see somebody else run with it. You'll see somebody with an album talking about poets or poetry or, releasing an album when poetry has not really been a focus in the mainstream for a very long time. And yet all of a sudden you'll see poets and things like that in the descriptions. Thank you for the thumbs up, appreciate you so much. You'll see artists, talking about, are you depressed? Saying things about being depressed, things that harken back to something that you began. Let's say you're an artist and you draw. You might see something in your drawings that just looks familiar. But this account has 3 million people and you have 3. Right? So how could they possibly have gotten something from you? But this is a phenomenon that we see. This is something that you really have to, because this is something I remember when I was working with this young woman, just had recently gotten out of school. And in school, it had always been, relayed to us, listen, we're all people, we're all, you have an idea, this person has an idea, you contribute something, you go about your business. And these kinds of hierarchies were discouraged, in schooling as you were going into academia and learning. But as I went into certain spaces, it was, this person has this title, this person has this title. And we'll get into the thing about, because I know you guys will say, but you focus on celebrities sometimes. Focus on people who, it's not just that they're celebrities, it's that people who are in positions of power and try to help you who are largely unknown. That's not about them being a celebrity, that's about them being a leader. That's about them saying, I have this amount of power. And instead of just keeping it to myself, I'm going to see who else I can have. You guys continue to put those thumbs up. It helps. Continue to give hearts to the live. It helps, and it costs nothing. So back to this person in this space that I was in. So I come out of this academia, going to school where they discourage those hierarchies. Listen, you have this idea, they have this idea, all of this, and thrust into these spaces where it's about title. Oh, this person. So one day I'm talking to this person, and I said to her, it was a particular company. Oh, the president is coming, And she said, and she looked at me and she was like, you're a person, I'm a person, in regards to my talking about this person's title. Again, JK, thank you so much for saying you love the high notes. Appreciate so much that you're here. She said, you're a person, I'm a person. And it was, I don't know if it really impacted me at that time, but over time, it really impacted me. And also, so remember, when you say something or you do something to someone or you help them to remember who they are, it may not sink in at that time, but I kept reflecting over it over time. I think I was too much into that mindset at the time. But later on, I kept hearing her voice saying, you're a person, I'm a person. You're a person, I'm a person. So back to if you see somebody, and in their album, they have something about poets, something about poetry, something, and this is something that, again, mainstream artists have not been focusing on the past few decades. And your model poetry, this is something that that meant something to you. Sorry, now they have poets in their title. Now there are mainstream artists who are going online and releasing poems to leaders in other countries, and there are mainstream artists who are releasing their book of poetry. You're having an impact, but they're not going to tell you. Nobody's going to say, because they're going to say, oh, you're this little person. You have a few followers. On the other hand, I have millions. So this idea had nothing to do with you. Remember, you're a person, they're a person. And you are, I believe we're all blessed by our loving Creator in different ways. And the word says, and I don't have the exact words, but don't despise the day of small things. So I'm realizing more and more that beginning point that you have, those are some of the most important days. When you're quote unquote small, that's when you get some of the most important lessons. And so don't disrespect those times. This is my, the Bible says, don't despise the day of small things. Again, I don't have the exact words, but that's something that the word tells us. And you can look that up exactly for yourself. But I see that now, and I see that more and more now, and have experienced that more and more. It is those beginning times that actually, when you feel the most diminished, are some of the most important times. Those are when you get the lessons. Those are when you see who really cares about what you have to say, whether they see you as important or not. How are they treating you? Those are the times when you are going to be uninhibited in certain ways. Sometimes you think about an artist and you think about early on, and you hear people say, oh, those first albums, that was their best work. That was their best time, because they were scratching and fighting and moving and engaging, and they were still, on the ground and working. And that was part of why their work was so visceral. And so to you, it's part of their best work because it might have been some of the most frustrating times in their life. And things started to pick up as they went, and maybe they got a little more comfortable. And it doesn't mean that their work is not valuable as it goes on, but some of that work that they were doing in the beginning, you saw more their faith, their strength, their resilience. That authenticity was just shining through. They had to at that time. They had to in order to break through. And you see it for yourself. So going back to that thing of, when I said, oh, we're doing this live and we're doing it in the darkness, it will be Per, and it will be JK, and it will be America Chavez, and it will be, those who are there in the beginning. Those are some of your most powerful times. Getting to see those people who really cared in the beginning and who saw value in you when you were just starting an idea. So you too, when you're starting something and it seems like people are dismissing you, and maybe you see a bigger artist or a bigger influencer do something that harkens back to something that you're focused on. Don't think, oh no, nobody cares about this. Oh no, what I'm doing is not important. We're all blessed. We're all blessed by our Creator, I believe, our loving Creator. And so you have the opportunity. And if you see something that someone did, you might feel discouraged, but keep going. If you see something that somebody did and it's clearly a reflection of something that you did, but you don't feel you're getting the credit and they're just running with it, still continue with what you're doing. Don't let that stop you. Now, I'm about to get to what I wanted to share with you at the end. And Per says exactly, thank you, Per. Per, people like you are so powerful, and you're the kind of person, and I've said before, model poetry followers are actually leaders, because you see people like Naomi Campbell have followed, is one of our followers. You'll see people like Kathy Ireland, one of our followers, MC Hammer, one of our followers, Doja Cat just recently putting us into her Instagram story. It's really leaders like Per, like JK, like you guys are the ones that pay us any attention. Other people will be like, what is this? I don't get it. What is it with the high notes? What is it with, with this? Why is it that so many celebrities follow you? What are you guys talking about? What is it with the, are you depressed? Like, what is this all about? They just don't get it, and they'll be laughing at you. But you guys are leaders. Those of you who follow us, always leaders. So when you start something and it's rough in the beginning, just be grateful. Be very grateful to your Creator. Those are some of the most catapulting and important times, and don't look down on them. Okay, so I'm gonna get to my final point because we're gonna end the live soon. I'm gonna get to my final point, and I wanna thank Per, I wanna thank JK, I wanna thank America Chavez, I wanna thank Alex. I want to thank you guys for just being so wonderful and supportive. And I want to thank all of the celebrities that are so kind to us. I want to thank Iman's cosmetics company for when we used to send music, and we'll tell you guys more about this as you continue to follow us. But we used to send, if you know the great supermodel Iman, we used to send music to her cosmetics company online, and she would respond. The cosmetics company would respond, rather, and it's always so inspiring to me to think that there are people who, will respond with a like, will respond to you, with words, will respond to you by following you. It's so powerful, and sometimes at your most sensitive and formative times, and most challenging times. So I want to share, we're going to get to the end, so I'm going to share a little bit of a song. And let me see. When you begin, don't let that make you feel like you're nobody, you're nothing. When you begin, keep on looking, go Thank you, Per. So the last point I want to make before I end the live is jealousy. This is something you really have to be mindful of. Sometimes people can be giving you advice, which is very meaningful, which is very helpful, which is very, and I think Per says play more dramatic sounds, plays more dramatic sounds. Very, very sweet. I just think that you are just so wonderful, Per. Thank you. So ending this live, the final thought that I wanted to say is jealousy. Remember, if you're starting something, whether you're in school, whatever level you're at, elementary, high school, college, graduate work, whatever you're doing, sometimes people can give you very good advice, very important advice, but always consider where they are as well when they're giving that advice. Because sometimes, as well-meaning as people are, sometimes they too may be afraid in their own lives, and they may constrict you with their advice because of their fears, and they may love you very much, but they may have certain fears that they have, and they may tell you not to try this or not to do that. And I remember, and I hope I have the story right. If I'm wrong, forgive me. This is just what I remembered. The girl who started Spanx, she's talked about some of the advice that she got in the beginning. And she was very discouraged in the beginning. But she persevered. And some of the advice that she got was absolutely do not keep pursuing this. Don't tell anyone about it. Don't pursue it. Stop now. And you might get very discouraging advice. Now, there are times when advice is valuable. But if you've prayed about it, you know that you're serving others. You know that it's something that you love to do. It comes easily to you, but it might be difficult for others, but it's something that comes easily for you. Look at these different parts. And again, you love it. And it's serving others, and it's positive. We're all talking about things that are positive, that help others. And you know the difference between right and wrong. So when it is those things, be very careful when people try to discourage you. Sometimes they may be coming from a place where they're trying to help you. Sometimes they may be coming from a place where they're jealous that you went and you pursued these things, and they're still afraid. But when you do it, you might always continue in love, because when you start seeing those successes, don't go back and throw it in people's faces. You should say, be grateful to your creator that you had the strength to keep going. And you might be the very person that encourages that person to say, you know what, I'm going to try. Even if they were jealous before, even if they discouraged you before because they were jealous, or even if they were not aware. Most people are not aware, I think, of their jealousy. Or even if they were not aware that they were afraid, and that's where they were giving you advice from. They might not be. And your success might actually help them to get started, to go out there, to begin themselves. So welcome them in love. Welcome them in love, because you don't know where they were. It doesn't mean that you don't keep your boundaries. It doesn't mean that you don't keep that awareness of where people are in your life and the stances that they took. You want to keep an awareness, but always walk in love. Don't throw your success in people's face. Don't try to make people feel bad, because you might be placed in a position where you can help them. All right, well, thank you guys so much. Thank you for being here. I want to thank you again, Alex. We heard from you. Yes, you said hi. I want to thank you so much. America Chavez, you said, I need to carry your words on into my lifestyle. Wow. Per, you said, been a fan of you. Thank you so much, Per. Per, you said, then realize you treat how you want to be treated. Beautiful. Per, and just shows their true colors. Thank you for your words, Per. JK, thank you for saying hi there. JK, thank you for saying love the high notes. That encouraged me to do some high notes in this live, because I wasn't going to sing. I was just going to talk. But thank you. Per says exactly. Per says amen. Per says play more dramatic sounds. Per says exactly, because we didn't start that one day. Exactly, because we didn't start like that one day. I think Per is saying keep going, because we didn't all start with so many followers or such a huge platform. Everybody starts from somewhere. And I think maybe Per is also saying, maybe when we were young, we didn't necessarily have those jealous tendencies. We were just like, these little balls of light and absorbing things and trying to help others. I think Per is saying many things. So I'd love to hear more from you, Per. Thank you guys for joining the live. So glad that you're here. I'm gonna go out with a couple of high notes and a little bit of sound, and then I hope to see you guys in the next live. If you believe what you do will help someone besides you, if you believe what you say will help someone on their way. Don't you stop going. Don't you stop showing. If you believe what you do, it helps someone besides you. Don't stop trying, no matter who's denying. All right, Per says thank you. I really appreciate it so much. Thank you guys, and have a wonderful night. All right, guys, love you so much, and I'll see you next time.